G'day, Keithy here. Thank you for joining me and welcome to 2021. We made it, 2020, the year that a lot of people probably want to forget. I can tell you now it was a quiet year for me, but I'm sure there's many of you guys out there watching this who hadn't even quite a year than I did. It was a bit of a terrible year, but now that that's done, let's focus on what we got going on this year. So I've taken a couple of weeks to spend with my family, doing my things. You might have noticed it's been a little bit quiet on the channel lately. It's time to get back into things. So here's what we've got for this year. We've got a massive year lined up. First thing I want to do is thank every one of you for watching over 2020. Hard year for everybody, but your support, guys. We've got a few more videos out, and I can be honest with you, my quality is actually getting better. Video editing, all of that kind of stuff. It's pretty basic, but yeah, getting there. I'm not very good with technology, so I'm working my way into that. So this year is going to be bigger and better, given that I can now do a lot more than what I could at the start of last year with the videos that I am taking for you. So what I've said to myself is, as a goal for this year, let's hope, I don't know if I'm going to achieve it or not, but here's hoping. I said if I get to 2,000 subscribers, I'm going to go out and purchase some really good camera gear. A lot better than what I'm using at the moment. I'm using an iPhone at the moment to film all of my stuff, or most of my stuff. I don't have any mics or any of that kind of stuff. So that's all stuff that I do need to get. And throughout the year, I'm hoping to get that stuff. But if I get to 2,000 subscribers and I haven't done it yet, then that's a kick in the butt that I need. I'm going to go and do that to make things better for you guys when you do watch these videos, because I love putting them out for you. It's not all just about views and numbers and all that kind of stuff. I enjoy sharing what I do, what I get around and do, camping, four-wheel driving, working on the ute, all kinds of things. I enjoy sharing that with you guys. So it's a nice little hobby of mine that I want to continue on with and improve on. So I've got to do that. And I've also said if I get to 5,000 subscribers, I'm going to treat myself to some new software and a laptop, bigger laptop, something that's a little bit better to edit these videos on, because the one I've got right now, you got to wait a week for it to load up to get in and do all that stuff. It takes forever just to make a video. So I found myself using my phone actually to edit most of these videos. What do we got in store this year? So I'm going to start with the black Range Rover. So that old girl, I've had that for about 6 months now, I think. Picked that up for a song. It's a great car. I've started it once in the entire time since I parked it up. I haven't even unloaded the bits and pieces out of it, to be honest. It's still got the spare parts and things that it came with in the back. So I've got to get them out. I really should. But I started it up a couple of weeks ago. I started it up and gave it a run and pumped it up. And honestly, I just hooked the battery back up and turned the key and she went. There's not a problem with that thing. It's a great little rig. Pumped straight up. I ran it for about 15 minutes and then I turned it off. And the aircon is Arctic cold. I love that. And you need that up here because right now it's about 35 degrees. And even though it's overcast, it's actually raining. I've got my umbrella on standby here just in case it rains while I do this filming for you. So the black Range Rover. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. What can we do with it? What can its purpose be? Originally I thought, you know what, it'd make a really good little town car if I just neaten it up, clean it up, because the inside's the only place that needs the work. And I've been told that the engine's got a slipped liner now. I don't know, because it sat there for 6 months and boom, fired straight up. Didn't run like a dog or anything. It hasn't used any coolant or oil, like nothing's leaked out, so to say. It didn't hydraulic lock or anything. There was nothing weird about it when it started. And that's been sitting for 6 months, so that's pretty good. So I thought, do I fix it up and keep it standard and you know, like drive it around town and make it a daily car? Or do I sort of go along these lines here and get the snorkel and the lift and the big tyres and all that? And, you know, if the engine is actually in need of some attention, do I go ahead with that? Do I go and get, you know, the necessary repairs? Do I put a 4.6 in it? Do I go bigger? Do I go something else, like maybe an LS, LS2, LS3, something like that? Give it some herbs, maybe even give it a supercharger and go to town on it that way? Or even like next level from that, do I cut it and do like a dual cab conversion on it? Because that's an option as well. I could turn it into a dual cab and extend the wheelbase and make it like a real beefy tourer and start doing some things like that with it. So that's some of the things that I've thought about doing with that car, and I'm keen to start this year. I want to start doing some things with that car So yeah, comment down there in the comment section. Let me know what you think about that car, because it's sitting there doing nothing. Well, it's covered up, granted, so it's not deteriorating. But yeah, it'd be nice to see it going and doing something. I've actually had offers of another couple of Range Rover P38s, funny enough. Not that I need any more because I don't have a lot of yard space, but you know, there are things that you can do. And I've got a few ideas up here, but I'm interested to hear what you guys reckon. Because honestly, the thought process for me is, if I was to do a dual cab cut on a P38, especially that one, which I paid bugger all for, I'm pretty sure the cost to cut it and put a canopy on it is sitting around that $20,000 to $30,000. And it might sound like a lot, but you think you go out and get a V8 Land Cruiser dual cab, or even a 130 Land Rover or something like that with, you know, similar specs, the long wheelbase and the dual cab with the big tray and all that, you're paying over $50,000 for them, even secondhand. Well, secondhand for definitely for the 130 Defenders, but even secondhand 70 series Land Cruisers, well over $50,000, and it's a used car anyway. And that's a starting point. You know, then I'd have to build a canopy onto that, and if I wanted to modify it with suspension or any gauges or, you know, air suspension, whatever I wanted to do with it, you know, that'd probably notch that up real quick to about 100,000. Whereas if I was to chop that thing 20 or 30 grand, get a dual cab P38, that'd be pretty cool, and something that would go anywhere. You know, ideally I'm not going to detract from what the P38 is, and that's a very capable four-wheel drive. And the idea behind anything I do, including with this one here, is to try and keep the weight down. So obviously I'll keep that in mind. I don't want to go loading it up with stuff unnecessarily. Let me know. And I also know, like on the topic of the LS conversion that I talked about there, that's probably a good $20,000 in that as well, if not more, to try and get the gearbox to try and line up. If I did that, I'd probably go a 6-speed automatic behind it, and there'd be computers and adapters to get the transfer case on there and all kinds of things like that. May even need to beef up the axles and the drive shafts. So there's a lot to that. Then we get on to this old girl right here. So you haven't seen much of the ute. It's my trusty old work. It's loaded up now, actually, this old girl. She's ready to do a dump run. And I've got even more stuff over there that I need to get rid of. I keep my green waste out the front ready to go as a reminder that I need to do a dump run. So you haven't seen much. Actually, I don't think you saw anything in 2020 of the ute. This is my workhorse, hey, and it's a beautiful ute, don't get me wrong. It should be driven a little bit more than it is. I think I'd be lucky to have put even 2,000 Ks on it in the last year. So I'm thinking about using that a little bit more. There's some things on that I need to do inside just to neaten it up a little bit. I can work on the thermofan and whatnot, get that set up, sorted, because the thermofan controller that I've got in that actually died. So I ended up just wiring it up to a switch, an on-off switch with a relay, just so that I can use it. It's not a problem anyway for me, but imagine if I lent it to a friend or, you know, something like that. I really do need to put a controller in that. So I can do that. You'll see a little bit more of the ute in that respect. Lieutenant Dan. Hopefully you can see more of that too. I'm hoping to do a few things to Lieutenant Dan now. I really do like that pintle arrangement and the lunette ring on that trailer, because you saw, if you watched that Maytown video up there, I pulled that through some really bad stuff, hey, and that is the hardest track in Australia, in my opinion. And when I say hardest track, like I'm talking hardest track where your average four-wheel driver is going to go. We're not talking comp rigs or 37s and, you know, 600 inches of lift. Average person in their average, you know, Range Rover, Land Rover, Toyota, Nissan, Mitsubishi, Pajero, whatever, that I reckon is the hardest track in Australia. So we're going to try and get more of that footage as well too. Lieutenant Dan did really well on that. The only problem that I do have with Lieutenant Dan is, because it hasn't got a shock absorber, or any shock absorbers for that matter, it's just leaf sprung, it bounces around a little bit, and it's not concerning to me because I lowered the pressures right down to try and avoid too much of that. But my camping gear inside actually started sort of jiggling a little bit, and it actually rubbed through the edge of my Oz tent, which isn't good. You can't have that. Don't want to put the camping gear in there and end up rubbing through, and then I get to camp and it's raining and you've got holes in your tent. Well, that's not ideal, is it? So I'm going to do some things around that. I want to extend the drawbar, maybe even look at putting a different kind of hitch on it. Just a few little ideas that I've had with that. On the topic of trailers, I've been having a bit of a chat lately with a few people, and I've been thinking about getting a camper trailer, a hard floor camper trailer. You'll hear more about that, not today, but that's on the list. So if you know anyone who's got a decent, and I'm talking those cheap Chinese brands that known for being cheap, you probably know who they are. If you're from Oz, I don't know if you've got them overseas, let me know. I want to get a good brand, I like a Kimberley, but they come at a price tag, so I need to try and work out the good brands. What have we got other than that? I've got a little list here. I had to write some things down. This is what I do for you guys. Oh, yes. Next up, this old girl. What are we going to do with this year? There's a few things that I want to do with this year. So if you've watched the thermofan series that I did up there, I'll put that little link up there, because this is the power of technology. I can do that. That's pretty cool. You'll probably notice I've got the belt fan in at the moment. It's summer up here. The only reason that I put that belt fan back in is because I had a lot of hill climbing type driving that I was going to do, and I knew I was going to be doing it. And if you watch that series, you'll know that hill climbs were its downfall. Like at idle, around town, towing, no worries. That thermofan was an absolute legend. Love it. But when you come to going uphill, especially if the speeds are down, it doesn't fare too well, because you just can't pull enough air to cool this old girl down. The standard setup right here, yeah, that's good. That works really well. As you've seen if you watch the fuel consumption series, which is up there now with more of that technology going on. Having the thermofan in was a really good thing for fuel consumption. But yeah, again, it didn't cut the mustard in the really rough and tough, like when that engine's under load. So I'm going to do a few things this year on the Rangy to try and sort that out, so that I can run the thermofan again, because that was so good. That was a big saving. I can't remember what it was, 6 or 7%. Around town, fuel consumption went down by something like 6 litres to the 100. So that's a lot. This old girl doesn't drink too much. It's pretty good, given it's, was it 2,700 odd kilos. It's that far off GVM every day of the week. So ideally, I'd like to try and save a little bit. I mean, again, you drive a V8 that weighs this much, you don't expect it to drive like a Prius. But it would be nice if I could knock that back down. So that's one of the projects I've got on the cards this year for this old girl. I'm going to do some more cleaning up, some detailing stuff, because this old girl, she doesn't get much love, hey. The servicing, I'm on that. But in terms of cleaning it up, I don't often have a lot of time after trips, because I've got to fly back to work, got to come back home, do the family duties, do the house stuff, do all of that other stuff. So she sometimes gets neglected. We're going to go through and detail it. I was also thinking about doing up a new drawer system for the back of it. I wouldn't mind something where I can just have put the fridge on the bottom level, so that it hasn't got a drawer underneath it, and then just 2 decent sized drawers beside that. Looking at battery options, maybe I can relocate the battery to the side, things like that, because I've noticed on my tyre pressure monitoring system, so look at this, I've got videos for everything. There's a video up here you can watch on that tyre pressure monitoring system. That right rear tyre often gets to a higher temperature than the other tyres, and even when I rotated them. The reason that it does that is because this side of the car, the driver's side on the right, if you live in Australia, has got a lot more weight on it than the left side. So I've got the fridge, I've got battery, fuel tank, all that really heavy stuff is on the right-hand side of this vehicle, and it's mostly at the back. So that's where all the weight is in this thing. So yeah, looking at options to try and shift a few things over to the left, or even get rid of some stuff that I don't need. I know lithium batteries are a lot lighter than the AGM one that I've got in the back of this thing. So there's an option there, although I don't need to do it. So I'm not going to go wasting money. But if I do need to replace the battery, there's something I can consider there is going to lithium. and that'll save some weight in the back there. Neaten all that setup up, try and lighten things up. And otherwise, let's start talking about the channel. So what's planned this year for the channel? What am I up to? A lot more trips, definitely. Right now, the weather's not really good. Now, if you live in Townsville, you might have seen Cody and the Sick Puppy 4x4 guys. They went out and did, I think it was up near Tamala, to be honest. I can't get the exact location there. But even on the Facebook pages, I've had a look. There's a lot of people getting stuck out there. We've had a lot of rain up here, and it's consistent. So one day we might get a couple of inches, and then the next, it's just continuous, like drizzle. So nothing's had the chance to dry out. I was keen. I actually really wanted to this week get out and go for a drive, go for a play in the mud. I reckon you guys would love to see this thing singing in the mud with these big mud tyres on it. You know, have a bit of fun with that. But it was just way too muddy to do that. I can guarantee I would have been bogged. Not even 50 metres in on half of these tracks around town. There's nothing here that I can do where, you know, sort of, it's okay, it's fun to get bogged. There's nothing wrong with getting bogged. You've got to get out there and do it to get bogged. But it's not really fun when you just get in and you've got a long track. Maybe you've got the beach as your destination or something like that. But it takes you 6 hours to get down a friggin' 2 kilometre track because everyone's just getting bogged and you're tearing up the tracks and, you know, there's no fun in that. So I thought I'd put that on hold this week, do a few other things, but I have spent a bit of time with the family. So there's more trips. Cape York this year, I am definitely going. So stay tuned for that. That'll be really good. I might do like a 5-part or 6-part series on Cape York. If you haven't been there, get there. Beautiful place. I love it. I would go every year if I could, but I mean, it's a long way. It's still, for me, it's 1,600 kilometres to the tip of Cape York from where I live. But if you live in Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, you know, like if you're overseas, it's a very long way for you to get to do this trip. So I can understand why, if you lived further away than I do, it's probably once a 5 years kind of trip. It does cost a lot and it takes a lot of time to get there too. So that's on the cards this year. I've got a few more local trips. I've got a little bit more of the harder forward driving. Haven't done a lot of that in the last year. I mean, COVID put that back a bit, especially with the four-wheel drive club. I got out there as much as I could, but as far as we could operate, we had this COVID restrictions, like a lot of other places where we could only do certain things. We had to be mindful of certain things, and then a lot of places were closed as well. So I couldn't get out there too much. This year is the year to get out and do a lot more. And what else have I got on this magic list? There's a couple of things. Oh yes, I've talked about getting better camera gear. So 2,000 subscribers is the go and get some better camera gear, be it a GoPro or 2 GoPros, get some mics, and some better software and stuff like that. And I think it was 7,000 subscribers. I'll go and get myself a new laptop, a really good one, and better editing software. And we'll go and make better videos for you because I love doing this. It's really good. And more forward driving. What do you want to see? Is there anything specific that you guys want to see on the channel? Let me know. Don't forget Chilling with Keithy over there. That's on Facebook. Another thing a few of you guys said to me last year, and I've had a lot of messages, heaps and heaps of messages. A lot of people want to see the roof rack up the top of this. Oh, girl. She's still got the awning on at the moment. That awning's lived on this thing. There you go, mate. Yeah, the old mate down the road with an Amarok. He's an absolute legend. Got to wave to the neighbours when they go past. So I got the Foxwings lived on there because we've gone out and done family days and things like that where we've needed the Foxwing out for a bit of shade. But I do plan on doing a roof rack video for you so that you can see the proper install, like a little bit up close and all that kind of stuff. I've had a few people ask about the rear wheel carrier. Yeah, I can do one of them. I might knock a video up for the rear wheel carrier as well. Funny enough, a lot of you have actually asked about this bull bar. That's a factory P38 bull bar. Like that is like when you buy a P38 new back in NAM, that's an option, and you tick the box, and that's what you get right there. That's nothing custom right there. So I hope that helps some of you out as well. If you're looking at buying one of these things, sing out. I'm a bit of a P38 boss. I do love them. I'm a bit of a sucker, actually. I should be called a sucker rather than a boss. But they're good rigs. This is a daily driver, eh? I bought the Ute with intentions of using that as a daily driver and having this thing just as, four-wheel drive trips and tours and stuff like that. And it's actually turned out the other way. The Ute sits down and does nothing, and this Range Rover is getting used heaps. I'm up to about 280,000 Ks. It's 280,000 Ks I'm on this thing now. So she's done some Ks. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to do the subscribe thing down there. Please, it definitely helps me out. Like I said, 2,000 subscribers, we're going to up the ante on the gear, on the filming gear. I might even get one of them gimbals too. I think that'd be pretty cool because you get less of this. So we'll up the ante there. 7,000 subscribers. Well, we're going to go even harder. Tell your mates. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, why not? It's free. You don't have to pay anything to subscribe. It'll help me, and once I can start doing a little bit more with this channel, I can up the ante for you guys and get a little bit more serious. And I'm keen to give this old girl some proper off-road heartiness, even though it's already a bit of a beast off-road anyway. There's not too many four-wheel drives that can keep up with it. Same with that black one. I'd like to pump some serious dough into that. Make it something unique, I hope you guys had a really great end of 2020, sorry. Good Christmas, good holidays. Where'd you go? What'd you get up to? Everyone does something different for the Christmas holidays. But either way, I hope it was good. I hope it was safe. I hope you're all doing well, and this sort of little spike in COVID now isn't hurting you guys too much. Stay safe, keep well, and I'll see you out there again. Thank you for watching.